The Black Archive.
April 22nd, 1915, near the town of Ypres, Belgium. Western Front. What you are about to hear is based on documented accounts from soldiers who stood inside those trenches during what would become one of the most disturbing turning points of the First World War. The event was recorded in military reports, field diaries, letters sent home, and survivor testimonies following the Second Battle of Ypres. At that moment in history, the men holding the line believed they understood war. They knew the sound of artillery before it struck. They knew how the earth trembled seconds before impact. They knew the rhythm of rifles, the warning signs of an incoming assault, the way danger announced itself, loud, violent, undeniable. War was chaos, but it had structure. It had patterns, and as long as those patterns existed, there was always a chance, however small, to react before death arrived. But on that day, something changed. Inside the trench, time had already begun to dissolve into something shapeless. Minutes and hours blurred together under the constant weight of anticipation. Your uniform clung damp against your body, soaked from cold and sweat, heavy against your shoulders. The mud beneath your boots pulled at every movement, as if the earth itself was trying to keep you there. Every step required effort. Every shift in position felt slower than the last. The trench walls, reinforced with rotting wood and sagging sandbags, pressed inward, narrowing your world into a confined strip of survival where nothing existed beyond waiting. Your hands rest along the edge of the trench, fingers coated in dirt that no longer feels like something external. It is part of you now, under your nails, inside your skin, ingrained into every movement. Your muscles remain tense without you realizing it, locked in a constant state of readiness. Because that is what this war has become. Not movement, not action, but waiting. Endless waiting stretched between brief, violent moments, and right now, it is silent. Not the kind of silence that follows an explosion. Not the quiet relief of something ending. This silence feels wrong, heavy, as if something has been removed from the world that should still be there. No distant artillery, no rifle fire, no shouted commands carried across the battlefield. Just the wind, moving slowly over the broken land ahead. You lift your head slightly, just enough to see beyond the trench line. The movement is careful, instinctive. You've learned that exposing too much of yourself can end everything in an instant. But nothing happens. No shot, no reaction. The battlefield stretches outward, empty and still, scarred by previous explosions, littered with debris that has lost its meaning. Twisted metal, broken rifles, splintered wood, fragments of something that once had structure, but now exists only as part of the terrain. It doesn't look like a place where something is about to happen. It looks like a place where something already happened and left nothing behind. Do you see that? The voice comes from somewhere beside you, low, uncertain, as if the man speaking isn't entirely sure he should be saying anything at all. It cuts through the silence in a way that makes everything feel sharper, more focused. You turn your head slightly, following the direction of his gaze, narrowing your eyes as you look out across the same empty stretch of land. At first, you don't see anything, just the same broken ground, the same stillness. But then, something shifts. It is subtle, so subtle that you almost convince yourself it isn't there. A faint distortion near the horizon. For a moment, you think it might be heat or light bending in a way your eyes can't quite understand. You blink once, twice. Your focus tightens, and then you see it. Something is moving. It looks like fog, but not the kind you've seen before. This is different. It has color, a faint, a natural green that stands out against the gray and brown of everything else. It moves low to the ground, spreading outward in a slow, deliberate motion, as if it is following a path that only it understands. There is no explosion that explains it. No sound, no fire, no debris, just that cloud, expanding, advancing, growing closer with each passing second. You feel your body shift slightly, not in panic, not yet, but in uncertainty. Because nothing about this fits into the patterns you've learned. War, as brutal as it is, has rules. You hear artillery before it lands. You see movement before an attack. There is always something that prepares you, something that gives you a moment to react. But this arrives without warning. A cough breaks the silence somewhere down the trench, sharp, sudden, out of place. You turn instinctively, your focus snapping away from the cloud and toward the source. A soldier has climbed out of the trench. You don't know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe confusion, maybe the same instinct that made you look up in the first place. Trying to understand something that doesn't make sense. He takes a few steps forward into the open field, slowly, carefully, as if approaching it will somehow make it clearer. For a moment, nothing happens, and then his body reacts. It is immediate, violent. His posture changes in an instant, his hands rising to his throat as if something has grabbed hold of him from the inside. He stops moving forward, drops to his knees. His fingers press against his neck, tightening, clawing, trying to force something away that isn't visible. The coughing spreads, not just from him, from others, one after another. The sound begins to multiply, filling the air in a way that replaces the silence with something far worse. It becomes louder, harsher, turning into choking, gasping attempts to breathe, and that's when you feel it. The air changes. You don't see the exact moment it reaches you, but your body knows. The first breath you take, after it arrives, is wrong. It burns, not like cold. Air, not like smoke, something sharper, deeper, as if it is reaching into your lungs and scraping against them from the inside. Your chest tightens immediately, every instinct in your body reacting to something it doesn't understand. You try to take another breath. It hurts more. Your eyes begin to sting, then burn, your vision blurring as tears form uncontrollably. Around you, the trench is no longer still. It is chaos. Men are trying to move, trying to escape, but there is nowhere to go. Some attempt to climb out, only to collapse moments later. Others fall where they stand, their bodies unable to process what is happening fast enough to respond. There are no orders, no commands, no one shouting directions, because no one knows what to do. The structure of everything you've relied on, the discipline, the chain of command, the understanding of how to survive, breaks apart in seconds. This is not something you can fight, not something you can see. There is no enemy to aim at, no direction to run toward that offers safety, just the air everywhere, inside you. Your body reacts before your mind can catch up. You drop lower, pressing yourself against the ground, instinctively trying to get beneath it, as if distance from the air will somehow protect you. But it doesn't. The burning intensifies. Every breath becomes a struggle, your lungs fighting against something they were never meant to endure. The sounds around you are overwhelming. Now coughing, choking, voices breaking apart before they can form words. Some are screaming, others are silent, already beyond the point where sound is possible. You try to move, but your body feels heavier with each passing second. Your muscles weaken, your coordination fades. The world around you begins to blur, shapes losing their edges, colors dissolving into something indistinct and unreal. Your vision narrows, darkening at the edges as your focus collapses inward. The green cloud fills everything now, erasing what little clarity remained. You try to breathe again. Your chest refuses, your lungs fight back, and for the first time, something else replaces the confusion, not understanding, not fear, but the realization that this is something entirely different, something you were never meant to survive. And then, slowly, the sounds begin to fade, not because they stop, but because you can no longer hear them clearly. The battlefield dissolves. The trench disappears. The men around you become nothing more than shapes, then shadows, then nothing at all. The last thing you are aware of is not the sight of an enemy, not the sound of gunfire or explosions, but the sound of voices, hundreds of them, fading. At the same time, what happened that day would change warfare forever. Use of chlorine gas at Ypres marked the beginning of a new kind of weapon, one that did not rely on precision or aim, or even direct confrontation. It turned the environment itself into a threat, something inescapable, something that could reach you no matter where you stood. For the soldiers who survived, the memory did not fade, because from that moment on, war was no longer just something that happened around them. It was something that could enter them, something they could breathe, and something they would never forget.